And good afternoon. We are coming on the air with breaking news. New York Attorney General Letitia James, a longtime political foil of President Trump's, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. That, according to three sources familiar with the matter. James was charged with one count of bank fraud after the president publicly called for his Justice Department appointees to bring charges against her. I want to get right to our Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent, Kelly O'Donnell, who's been tracking this for us. Kelly, what do you know?
Well, good afternoon, Tom. This is a stunning development that is in line with what happened with James Comey, the former FBI director, in that the president has publicly identified both of those individuals as his perceived political enemies and wanting the Department of Justice to take action. In the specifics here, what we understand is that a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia has been presented evidence that relates to a 2023 home purchase, mortgage paperwork. And this follows months of investigation, which started from the Federal Housing Finance Agency. An associate of the president, Bill Pulte, had identified this and made a criminal referral. In that paperwork, Letitia James, it is her mortgage, but it was for a niece in Norfolk, Virginia. That is why we have a jurisdiction in the Eastern District of Virginia. That it was listed as a primary residence, but it is not the primary residence of Letitia James. In a lot of paperwork, it was apparently one document that reflected this. This criminal referral was responded to by James' personal attorney, Abby Lowell, who called it stale and not anything more than media reports. That was based on his notification in April. Today, as we understand it, a single count of bank fraud, a felony in this jurisdiction, will go forward for Letitia James, who is the statewide office holder in New York, the Attorney General. Clearly, it is important to point out that in her capacity, her official role, she brought state charges against Donald Trump when he was out of office for civil court in fraud. And now we have the Department of Justice bringing a single count bank fraud against Letitia James, Democrat Attorney General of New York. So it has specific consequences for James, her career, and her liberty. It has much broader consequences for the views of how the Justice Department is operating under the Trump administration. Is this something where a grand jury then hears the evidence only from, we presume, Lindsay Halligan, the appointed U.S. attorney in the Eastern District? The defense does not play a role in the grand jury proceedings. That is all very secret. So the next steps will be in court, where she's able to enter a plea and the next steps of this process begin. So this is a felony case. It is also a case where there are enormous political implications. So far, the White House has not commented. We've reached out to James' office, her official office, as well as her counsel. We have not heard back yet, but we certainly expect to in the coming minutes or hours. Tom?
Yeah, when we talk about that civil conviction against the president, he's going to have to pay, even though he's appealing right now, he and his family, because they were sort of all involved in this, north of $300 million of fine to the state of New York. You mentioned that one document, apparently, that Letitia James filled out saying this was her primary residence. Her lawyers, and this has been reported out there, said they've provided other documents to show that she said this was not my primary residence. This was a clerical error, if you will. The court will decide that, right, Kelly? But at the end of the day, Letitia James is now going to have to pay for lawyers to have her day in court.
Well, it is always difficult, even when someone is ultimately found not guilty or if charges are dismissed. The weight of a criminal charge is always very heavy. And for Letitia James, her counsel tried to point out that this was not material that would merit charging. We believe that there was pushback within the Department of Justice about the strength of the evidence here. That will all be determined in the next steps going forward. But this is something the president wanted to see happen. Yeah. It has now happened. And James will have her chance to respond and to present evidence in her defense. It's very significant, both politically and certainly we'll look at the specific facts of what is alleged here. You're right that there were many more documents involved in this, and apparently a single document that listed primary residence.
All right, Kelly, stand by for us. I do want to bring in senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake. Garrett, you heard Kelly mention there this is something the president wanted, and we know this because he told this to the American people. He put this on Truth Social, not only with James Comey, the former director of the FBI, but also with Letitia James. Tell our viewers what exactly he said there and what's happened since.
Yeah, Tom, you're looking at a post from late September, which reads like a direct message from the president to his attorney general, expressing his frustration that some of his perceived political opponents had not faced the kind of criminal charges that he thought were due to them. This was around the time that he then turned around and installed Lindsay Halligan, who Kelly was just referring to, as the interim U.S. attorney there in the Eastern District of Virginia. He refers to her in that statement as a tough lawyer who could get the job done, and calls for the prosecution of James Comey, subsequently indicted, Letitia James, indicted today, and Adam Schiff, the junior senator from California, not indicted as best we know, but I think certainly someone who we have to look closely at now, given the willingness of these Department of Justice prosecutors to follow through on the threats as conveyed by the president. This antipathy with Letitia James runs deep. Kelly mentioned the fraud case. The award in that case has subsequently been thrown out by an appeals court, but the conviction is still withstanding, pending an appeal. The president, throughout the campaign and early in his term, regularly took to social media to attack and belittle James, suggesting that she was bad for New York and was some kind of criminal, accusing her of political prosecutions. That's now what the president's critics are accusing him of engaging in here. New York's Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul posting on her social media just a short time ago, Tom, defending Letitia James, talking about her independence, her relentless fight for justice, and suggesting that what we're seeing today is, quote, nothing less than the weaponization of the Justice Department to punish those who hold the powerful accountable. So the political shaping of this moment already well underway.
All right, Garrett Haake for us. We thank Garrett and Kelly for that. That's going to conclude this NBC News special report. We're going to have much more ahead on your local station, our streaming network, NBC News Now, online always at NBCnews.com. And I'm going to have a full wrap-up tonight on Nightly News. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you for watching. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.